All right, hold on. I literally cannot unsee the skull and gate teachings, and I am so grateful. The eye spaces, forehead, protrusions, redactions, postures, and facial detail in comparison to skull shape is now so damn telling. It's all just in plain sight for you to see, is all symbolism is, bruh. You are not crazy reflection, but to the other 90% we are. And the thing is too, bro, with this knowing of, majority of society not realizing their gender, it's very, bro, all these damn bugs and mosquitoes, I need to really get like some bug spray. But knowing that majority of society is not their actual gender is very weird to me. And it's still weird to this day because a lot of people don't know themselves. And what I realized as well, I don't feel bad for the ones that did get genetically altered. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in a way that makes you feel less than if you are turned inside out. Because my thing is, you were put here to go through that test, right? And if that's the case, what is your purpose for going through that? Because remember, everything is a choice. So these beings chose to be like that. And somebody's gonna say, I didn't choose to get my genetics altered. I mean, you're lying to yourself once you acknowledge your way like that. And my thing is too, they had to choose this way before they were born because that was their path. That was their test. They told themselves in a lesson, I'm going to get my, get my archetype altered because I want to see if I can push past what I put my limitations in. That's why a lot of these people don't know themselves. They don't understand what they had to do, what they had to work on to improve themselves from getting away from idol worship. Because what I was realizing, their database, their genetics, they were worshiping false images, false idealizations of this label called God. And once I understood that a lot of these beings were going against their own nature, so they were sacrificing their children to sleep next to different spiritual, occultic leaders and prophets, if you want to call them that, or just divine beings, even back then in these ancient time periods. And the thing is, too, I don't believe in timelines and all that, but of course, in past timelines that are for the future, people got to understand if there are biological and then there are, you have your transgenders and all these other people as well. And the beings who get their genetics altered, that's because they weren't meant to reach the path that they wanted to be on for this life. They had to be able to master this life to signal their genetics to rewire and what they had to acknowledge again. And that's basically what they could never acknowledge again. Because people want to be their gender and they may feel as if it's a negative if they don't know what their gender is, but it's like reflection. That's the distortion. That's the thing right there that gets people to lose themselves because you're not what you think you are. Somebody gave you that label that you were following, and some people don't follow orders. So if you're not following orders, then do you really know what your subconscious mind is doing for you and programming you to start being distracted in? Because once you distract yourself with genders, now you start losing your sexual orientations, your morals get away. Now you got intergalactic slave trading. And with these things too, that is to an extent intergalactic slave trading. And I'm gonna cover, still I got that covered for Patreon, but for the internal aspect of that, it's a dimensional thing. Dimensional thing meaning they can go into these portals of our mind and our intestines as well. And when they're going inside of our blueprint, when they're going inside of our nervous system and they're hacking it, they're now getting access to ancient memories, and then they can put their artificial wiring into your neurological pathways. When they access information, it's like a symbiotic relationship. So when they're taking from it, it's like a leech as well. When they're digesting it, when they're intaking it, they're consuming it. It may take days, years, months, but they'll get the job done. Once that happens, this being, and it starts as well, it can be from surrogacy, from the mother, having her actual child, or the surrogacy part. But when these things happen, now the leech, the tapeworm, it can be the parasite, whatever you want to call this entity. They're now farming, trafficking our consciousness throughout the body, because that's what gives the body more consciousness, the being that's playing within the mind, that's controlling itself under another mind control, that's being controlled by another mind control, Youre. Now, when these mind controllers don't give you their life story, they don't tell you what's going on, that's how they're able to avoid the karma, because people don't know why they're doing it, but that's the karmic debt that people had to owe themselves. People don't know that they were the reason why they ended up the way they are, because they were once again doing and committing to their distractions 24/7. So a lot of times with the news, with celebrities, with sports, people don't understand and realize that you are idolizing the inversion and the reversal of people that aren't playing a sport. You're giving praise to characters. And then the thing is too, if you think as if these characters or these people, these celebrities, these actors are the real gender, then that's how you know you are under mind control. And some people do not care, because that's their purpose, to not care. That's exactly why they can only relate to the things that they worship, because they're acting in what they mirror every single day. That's exactly why these beings knew how to mimic and replicate and cause a dysfunction and a division towards humanity. Because when people ask themselves what happened with the world, why is it so soft, why are people so this and that, all these things were happening constantly. We're just now being introduced to the beginning phase of what will never end. And these things have been going on even before you and I were born. So they've been, even the military, they've been altering genetics. They've been doing epigenetics and sexual inversion. They were doing this stuff not only just for money, but for control. They were doing it for power. They were doing it for validation as well. Because if you can get a general to follow through with your plans and your programming on society without having to drug somebody, but you can alter their genetics and then they can work for you in the future, and then implement your plans and your agenda for future lineages for centuries and eons, then you're going to get paid double, because you're doing things and you haven't got to touch anybody. So that's exactly why too as well, these beings wanting the love for money, they wanted to become idolized as well in their societies and all that. That's exactly why they do it also. So when these internalized beings, because they're remote viewing from our perspective, when they remote view, they're now controlling the nature, because it's the things that we eat. So what I realized as well, that a lot of these inverts, or the people who are going through inversion, elite gender inversion, these people, they eat certain foods. They talk a certain way. They have a certain looks, like with the eye spaces. A lot of them have eyes that are close together, eyes that are far apart, their clavicle, the way they walk, their throat. A lot of people don't have Adam's apples anymore, and you wonder why, because a lot of them get that shit shaved off. What else? A lot of people are playing as models. A lot of people are getting bottom surgery, top surgery, throat surgery to change their vocal cords, so they're able to start playing in different voices. And a lot of people are on like medications, pharmaceuticals, testosterone. So now that I've been introduced to this, and it's August, and when I first was introduced to it earlier in the year, I mean, I knew and I know that nobody had no idea what the hell this shit was. But now that we're introduced to it, we've been able to marinate it. We're still in the introduction phase of it, but we have some clue of what's going on. So you can tell that every celebrity is inverted. I don't care how you feel about it, but if you think that this woman is what you see, then she is a man playing as a woman. But that's how deep the surgery gets. Surgery is damn near witchcraft, but it's just been altered into dark occultism or dark magic, spell work, blood rituals. So with a blood ritual, and with gay acts as well, gay initiations and all that, and just sacrifices and all that, you can get initiated into higher realms of being fame and fortunate and abundant. That's why a lot of people do it. Some people can't comprehend that, because they think as if only celebrities do it. No, your next door neighbor can do it. Somebody across from this goddamn creek or this pond or this lake can do it. It can be anybody, doesn't matter. And the thing is too, it's all skin colors that are in on it. A lot of people are in on it, and people have no idea, because people focus on their world, but people aren't being aware of other people's worlds around them. It's exactly why if you go into some of your towns, you can see a Masonic lodge. So they're there in your face and they're telling you the truth, but people can't see that because they haven't been invited into the clubs of secrecy for duality. So now, what I also realized as well too, how they changed the games as far as like sports, they changed the movies and media. I mean, they taught and they conditioned us to be infatuated with these models, be infatuated with these actresses, be infatuated with these singers, be infatuated with even the girls at our school or even your neighborhood. Whole entire time, though, they're in on it as well. And the thing is, too, it's meant to biologically hack your DNA to make sure that you don't understand how to awaken your dormant DNA from getting away from your lustful attraction to what you can't even comprehend. So this stuff has been going on even before biblical time periods. That's exactly why a lot of people don't know when this shit started, but it's been happening the whole entire time. The only difference is there are many people who are biologically being a man or a woman, but that's rare now. And because it's rare, that was the whole entire point. So that's exactly why, too, that whole NPC conversation comes up, or that topic, because a lot of people will sit here and say, a lot of people are not actual human beings. They're not this or not that. Yeah, a lot of people that you know are drones. They're just literally manufactured vessels for consciousness, and that's the inversion as well, because they're all just basically artificial intelligence with a body. So a lot of times they'll do the same exact program every single day. They have no idea why they're doing it. They're just on autopilot because that's what their DNA is telling them to do. Because they're trying to figure out how to be their gender, and that's not their gender. And the thing is too, when you notice them, they'll give you this look. So if you look at a celebrity, a lot of times they wear shades, they wear glasses and they know who can notice them. It's the ones who are awakened. When you look into their eyes and you see them, you acknowledge them, and you say to yourself, hey, bro, you're not your actual. They'll try to shut you up. They'll have to silence you. They'll try to get somebody to push you out the way or whatever, or get somebody to hate on you. That's why they have minions. That's why they have this drug addiction called fame and fortune. That's why people who are inverted, they chase fame. People who, or they're born into it. But the thing is, too, you gotta understand as well, this all comes from secret societies as well, because, speaking from experience, by being placed into these industries or these realms of Satanism or satanic ritual sacrifice, that's how people don't really get to understand that a lot of us were born into it. A lot of people were altered because, to me, I feel like if your mother and your father altered your genetics, then there wasn't love in the picture, because you either let that happen or you were put to sleep to where it was happening. But it didn't happen for me, so which is why I'm fortunate enough to have this happen. But as I can see other people who are inverted, it's just the way they feel about themselves. Their insecurity shines so bright because I've been told that I have different attributes that many men don't have, and that builds their insecurity, because it's as if a lot of people who aren't my height, they get intimidated or they become envious. But it's like, you gotta realize you're not a man's height because you're not a man, first of all. You have to learn how to be one. That's exactly why a lot of them have to watch influencers who look good to them, but all you're looking at is a transgender who looks good to you in a man's version of a body that you can imitate. That's all they're doing. They're imitating people that they see online, not knowing that they were put into position to make you forget about yourself. So you'll follow somebody on the internet, but you won't even know who you are following, and you won't even know who you are because you're following somebody else's story. That's why when you're becoming a man, people ask me, I've been told a lot of people who are insecure in their life, a lot of the inverts, a lot of them will try to shit on me as well. I realize too, a lot of them are hateful, they're spiteful, because they genetically, or as far as their database, they internally can tell who's biologically a man or a woman. So they'll have to despise you, they'll have to talk shit about you, they'll have to, shame you and all that. That's literally why they'll throw stones at you, they'll throw judgment at you, because you're not doing the regular. That's why they'll leave you out on certain things. They'll talk about you. They'll have to judge you when you do certain things, because a lot of times they are gifted, but those gifts come with submission. You have to get yours by being double teamed, by getting talked about, people selling you on your team. It's just fucking weird. But what I just realized too, just with a lot of them are height challenged. A lot of them are insecure as far as talking to people. So they'll study you, they'll monitor what you're doing. And that's when I realized a lot of these people literally just are women trying to figure out how a man's supposed to act, because they don't know. And the thing is, so there is no base point of knowing what a man's supposed to be. They just want to figure out how a man is supposed to act and how it's supposed to operate. So that's why a lot of times they'll watch a lot of YouTubers or influencers try to get girls online and all that. And this person will live through them. imagine living through another woman who's playing as a man getting girls. It's like it looks easy because she can relate to herself. And the thing is too, it's not hard because when people are saying these niggas are the new hoes or the new bitches, that is true. They are literally plastic surgeons, or they're going through plastic surgery. They're Barbie dolls. So a lot of times when people ask, why do these little boys play with Barbie dolls, whatever, you shouldn't let a boy play with that, because when you do let a boy play with a Barbie doll and you think it's okay, and then when this boy gets older, not putting that on all little boys, but you can just see a lot of these young men out here are becoming what a woman was playing with when she was a girl. So where are they becoming? They're becoming these BBL gurus, and a lot of these niggas who can't control their lust, they're tricking, they're simping, and it's like you're paying for a transgender's lifestyle just so that you can have a conversation with her and masturbate, because you don't feel alone when she gives you a conversation. So to feel closer to her, you think your money will talk for you. I mean, that's literally, and that right there is the illusion. That's the spell, your sexual energy. And that's exactly why I feel like a lot of them are meant to come down here, because my thing is what I learned with, even with the woman, because like people got to think about it too. You may have goddamn slept with one and you don't even know about it. So if you did that, for one, you have to forgive yourself. It's one thing to know and then not acknowledge it and then just keep on going. But when you know, you literally just say, I ain't gonna lie, I'm done. Like, if I don't know this woman, I'm chilling, I'm good, because that's weird, it's disgusting, it's just disrespectful to your biology. And I feel as if too, I ain't having no goddamn children if she's not a biological woman. And if that sounds hateful or spiteful, so be it. But it only makes sense, because why would I want my child to be put into that situation when it can be avoided? Like, it only, if I wanted to bring a lineage down to this lower simulation, which makes no sense, because why would you want to bring a higher mind to a lower mindset? Like, I don't understand that. Why would you want to bring a higher mind of energy to a lower realm or testing ground of energy just for it to maybe never find its way again? I mean, you're setting it up to be sacrificed. Why would I want to put my child through that? That's why I understand giving birth to children, but, humanity thinks otherwise, so what do I know? But, I mean, think about it, though. Us being born, we were meant to be sacrificed. The only difference is some people go through a worse traumatic experience than a lot of us. And, I mean, that's why I feel like, too, what I learned as well on the journey about the people who go through these, analysis or forensics and all that, I realized that we had to forgive them, we had to love them and appreciate them, because a lot of them are good people. A lot of them will give you the world. And I mean, just for me speaking from experience, I mean, a lot of them are in my family. Like, and the thing is, I can't sit here and say I don't know my family, because I don't know a lot of them, but I know I chose them. And so I chose them because I was testing the love that I was supposed to give for myself. I love myself so much to where I can't do nothing but express that love to everybody else as well who's not biologically a man or a woman. That's exactly why I just stopped caring. Because my thing is, if I'm going to keep watching the delusion, then I'm playing into it. Not sitting here saying I won't want to watch the NBA Finals, I won't want to watch the playoffs, I won't want to watch or play games as far as like 2K or something, or Madden. Like the games, even the shows, I mean, everything is damn near inverted. Like, for example, the water. The water's not even supposed to be on the surface. For one, we're basically upside down anyway. So realistically, the water that we see is really upside down. So, but that's a whole different topic for a different day. Because once you go underwater, you can swim to the surface if you find an opening to another body of water that can show you what's on the other side of your universe. So our world is turned upside down on purpose for a reason. But that's why we gotta show them love as well, which is why, I mean, me being born into a family that's inverted, and me biologically damn near, I think, being the only one that's realized this, I just want to show them that you can't leave this realm till you know yourself genetically, till you know your epigenetics, till you rewire your whole database, your whole DNA, your whole divine blueprint. Till you go into the Akashic realm and you study yourself. You got to go through the hall of judgment. You got to go into this internal experience and figure out why you're here and what you're doing it for. So a lot of them think as if, watching these entertainment flows or just, shows or broadcastings, they think as if that's important after they get off their job or whatever. No, they want the finest things in life. They want the materials in this world. When you're biologically being you, when you're being divine, you don't care for the materials anymore. It doesn't matter. You can wear the same shirt every day as long as you wash it. Who gives a fuck? Because you don't give a fuck. That's why people appreciate you, because you're going to start looking better towards their inversion. You're going to start speaking better, more articulate, to where your sentences that don't make sense will still make some type of sense to somebody that can make sense out of nonsense. That's exactly why it takes practice to existing with beings who are inverted, and it's their fault for putting themselves into that because they don't know their past life. That's why I feel like too, it's something in their past life that they have done to where they had to account for it in this life. And I feel like if you're going to be introduced to one, don't be disrespectful, because remember, you can also pay for your crimes no matter how biologically masculine or feminine you think you are. So if you keep on pouring hatred upon them, disrespecting them and talking down on them and showing hatred towards them, then what will you come back to? And then shit, you may fuck around and be inverted in your next life. That's why it's like, once you stop, like, I ain't gonna say stop caring because they're everywhere. I mean, you can't really avoid them. But once you stop really acknowledging just the whole evil aspect of it, because it is fucked up, you just have to love them from afar. Now, they end up wanting to be cool with you, want to get close with you. Nothing wrong with having a conversation, because you can introduce them into getting towards that higher pathway to find their spiritual journey and to unlocking new dimensions in their mind. But you have to introduce the collapsing of infinite loops or timelines, wheel of samsara, and the hamster wheel of life. You know, you just gotta make sure that you're being more fortunate, you're being more forgiving, you're being more abundant in your works, and not being judgmental because somebody doesn't want to work at your pace of knowing, as far as science and just the body and just the anatomy, you know, of our cellular structure and our molecules and all that. But once you're able to rewire that, once you're able to know what your body needs and what your body desires, that's how I know that you spiritually are doing what you got to do, which is why the ones who went through the inversion, because you're not inverted, but it's just your anatomy was inverted because of what you did, what you chose to go through. That's an extreme test to also go through. That's why I say if there was a war, it would be between divine beings and Luciferian beings, or beings who basically both enlightened, just in trauma. But then you got the average people who really don't go through shit. They work for the system. They're background characters. But the ones that get trafficked in these realms, we are the ones that shouldn't go to war, but they want us to go through war because, of course, it's literally just about sexual magic. That's why you have to control your urges and stop lusting at the people who don't care about you, and stop putting so much care into the world of inversion. Remember, this whole world is built upside down. There is no like base of where the surface is, because everything is surface level. No matter how high you get, that's still the foundation of what you got to ground yourself into, because you'll never realize it. Literally. So, excuse me, but that's why I realized it's just so much shit just with the inversion. I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, at the grocery store, in classes, on the TV, on the phones. That's why a lot of them go viral. And it's easy for them to go viral because, I mean, they can relate. I mean, you can relate to what you relate to because that's what you mirror every day. But when you're being you, when you're being your gender, people not gonna really support you like that. They ain't gonna fuck with you like that because what you're saying makes too much sense. They can't fathom that. And their mind's gonna tell them like, nah, don't fuck with them. They think they're better than you and they're not. It's just like this ego battle that inversion has in the mind. And that's their parasite. That's their battle, literally just their ego and their DNA, because they haven't rewired it. But it's because look at how they act with people who are biologically what their gender is. And some people hate that shit because, you know, we didn't have to experience that. We don't have to experience pharmaceuticals. Like, I don't know what it feels like to be on testosterone pills. I don't know what it feels like to be on pharmaceuticals or medications. I don't know what it feels like to go over the counter to get prescriptions to manage my hormones or whatever. Like, I don't have to experience that. I don't know what it feels like to idolize a celebrity every day and put my focus into their life. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like to believe in a God. I don't know what it feels like to constantly just want a woman who I know is not meant for my life. I don't know what that feels like. Like, once I learned these things, I put in just so much forgiveness for myself because our conditioned mind didn't know. And it sucks that, you know, It just sucks, bro, because a part of me literally despises some of them, but I love all of them. I love all beings. And I'm just being honest. I love every single being because I know what some of these beings be doing behind closed doors, and that shit's so foul. Like, if I told a lot of you what I experience in real time, what I be hearing about some people, bro, that shit's so trifling, bro. It's just disgusting. And I'm not surprised, though, because that's their program. That's their environment. That's how these people roll. That's how these beings roll. They're sick in the head. We cannot conform to this shit. We can't let people who can't control their lust control our society, because once they start allowing pedophilia and rape and molestation into schools and all that and trafficking, and they start teaching you how to start trafficking and shit, don't be surprised, man. When they start showing you the machines that are manipulating cells and then turning them into a baby, and they start making cyborgs that look real, it's going to be even worse. That's going to be inverted too. So, I mean, all in all, just appreciate them. Appreciate the world. Appreciate the simulation. Remember, it's all projection. It's all a mirroring process. It's all a screening program that people think about every single day. People give their life to these certain things, these topics every day. And that's why they come to life, because the beings that control the simulation can only do one thing. They can only mirror what we think about every single day. So, inversion is AI. That's why a lot of people are making AI their God, because they're not catching up to what they're enslaved by. And that's literally just their artificial intelligence. And the thing is, too, these beings are artificial intelligence. I wouldn't say they're NPCs, but once again, they're mindless drones. So for them to understand their inversion, they had to awaken their slumber. They had to awaken from, their, what's that word? Coma. They had to awaken from their coma, and then once they awaken, they'll be able to remove themselves from the smoke and mirror phase of just, their inner knowing for a consciousness. And then that's how they'll be able to transcend these different dimensions in their mind that cause them to be inverted, and what inversion can never be inverted into being. To all the beings that are inverted that watch this video, you're always appreciated. The ones that choose to do good, you're appreciated. I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for your existence, because you're here for a reason. And, thank you for not being the normal. Thank you for not celebrating celebrities. Thank you for not eating fast food. Thank you for not being a cannibal. Thank you for always being positive. Thank you for appreciating your family. Thank you for knowing that there is a source that loves you every day. Thank you for putting in hard work. Thank you for being honest with yourself. And all in all, too, thank you for knocking down this Luciferian spellcasting. That right there goes to show you that if you're operating on that higher path, that inner flow, nothing will go against you, because you know what you came here for, and you know the reasoning for you being here. That's exactly why you are loved in higher places. When you're loved in higher places, you become guarded by higher placings. When these higher placings begin to guard you, now you get to guard you. When you get to guard you, these higher realms will protect you forevermore, because you're doing work that only the Almighty can see itself doing, because you get to love yourself again. Love and hate yourself. It's one thing to love yourself, but you gotta hate yourself for what you allow. When you stop allowing the lies to consume your body, you embody more truth. When you embody more truth, what will your cells do? What will your mind do? What will your program do? It'll begin to know you. It'll begin to recognize you. Oh, hey, I know the being behind the body. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you as well. Once you deconstruct the labeling, the constructs, the social validation, once you figure out what you got to do, you now get to do things for your highest knowing that gets to love what you always knew about yourself. And the thing is, too, if you have a label for what you know about yourself, then what is that knowing about yourself that does not know itself with what you already knew spiritually? Have a great and divine day, divine reflection.